Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. My name is Jessica Hitt, and on today's episode, we are talking a sort of cult classic. Yeah, I would say it's a cult classic of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It was definitely a movie. That just made it sound like I didn't like the movie, but I did really like the movie. It is definitely a very interesting, weird movie, but it's also slightly brilliant. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stars, of course, Martin Freeman, Sam Rockwell, Zooey Deschanel, who I didn't know was in this movie. Also has Mos Def, I believe his name is. I guess his real name is Yassine Bey, but it says he plays Ford Prefect as Mos Def. And when the credits were happening at the beginning, it said Mos Def. So I'm just assuming that's like his stage name, maybe? I don't know. And I'm not gonna lie, it did take me a little bit to get into this movie. I was just like, what is this? Like, it starts with this big dolphin prologue about how they are the smartest creatures on the planet, which, let's be real, they are. But also, it goes into this sort of small story of this character played by Martin Freeman, whose house is going to be torn down so they can make a way for a bypass, like a freeway type of thing, and he's refusing to move. He's laying down in front of the tractor, and then his best friend comes along, and he's a little weird, and he kind of distracts him, and he basically tells him that the world's just about to end. Which, of course, he doesn't believe. And then they start tearing down his house, which also they tear down his house with all of his stuff in it. That seems a little much. And then they end up actually hitchhiking onto a spaceship. And it just brings you into this whole world of aliens and the meaning of life and all of this stuff. And it is very, very interesting, but it's just so weird. And I think the moment that I went from liking and being intrigued by this film was the moment they were on that planet, where whenever they had an idea, something would come up and slap the idea out of them. I really enjoyed that. That was the moment I'm like, okay, I'm into this movie. Let's see where this goes. And then I think the moment that I would say that I absolutely love this movie is the moment when they turn two missiles into two other beings, one a flower pot and then one a whale. And so they decide to talk about this whale and its existence and the thoughts that go through its head as it's falling to its death. And I just thought that was so brilliant, and it really made me question life in general. And I was just like, wow, this is just it's one of those films that is one of the smartest films you'll ever see without realizing how smart it is, I feel like. And one thing I will say is it definitely does feel like it is British humor. This belongs in a sort of more British market as opposed to an American market, because our type of weird is slightly different from this. Yes, this came out in 2005. I don't think this did well in theaters in that year, at least in America. They might have done pretty well in the UK, because I know Martin Freeman was a pretty big star. He was in the UK Office version, the original version. He played sort of the Jim Halpert character. But I was surprised to see that this had Sam Rockwell and Zooey Deschanel. I was really surprised. I had no clue she was in that. And I thought that the cast, this core cast, the four characters, really worked well together. They're all very, very different, but somehow mesh well. And even though some of them don't like the others, and then others are sort of related to them, and then some are kind of romantic with each other, and it's just this weird hodgepodge of characters into one, where they have to fit into this spaceship and try to find the answer to 42, which is, I guess, the meaning of life. Trying to do this whole thing, and it's just it's so weird, but it works so well. But there's one scene in particular that I really, really loved, and it's a scene where Martin Freeman, he goes sort of below, in the architect thing where they're building all of these planets type of thing, and I think he's talking to, oh God, what's his name? I'm going to forget. I got to look it up. He's with Bill Nighy, and he's kind of showing him all of this stuff, and just the look of amazement and wonder on Martin Freeman's face when he's seeing all of this being constructed. And then he asks the questions so you created the earth type of thing, and he was like, we built the earth or something like that. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the scene. It might be one of my favorite scenes I've seen in a movie in a very, very long time. It's very simple, but it just like has all of these questions and answers just silently in this. While Bill Nighy's kind of talking, and you just see Martin Freeman's face just like, oh my God, this is what it is. Like, this is everything. And it was just so great. It was so beautiful. I really, actually, really enjoyed this film. I don't know if I would probably recommend it to everybody and just say, hey, just so you know, it's weird and it's very British humor, so you might not get it, but it's worth the watch, in my opinion. And of course, my favorite character is Marvin, the sort of depressed robot who has taken on like personality traits of a human, a depressed human, and it's just like, wow. I love that robot so much. Also ends up saving the day at the end, so very here for it. It was also voiced by Warwick Davis, so fun fact. So yeah, overall, I was super impressed with this film. I wasn't sure what I was getting into. I didn't really know much about it, to be honest. It was just kind of one of those movies that you hear of, but you don't really know too much about. And it was smart. It was beautiful. It was, for 2005, the graphics aren't terrible. You forgive them for the most part. I think they did a pretty good job with Marvin. And because I don't think that's practical effects. I'm pretty sure for the most part that was all CGI. Acting was great. It was just this movie that really came out of nowhere that I wasn't sure about when I first started, and then started to really like, and then I started to really love. So very high on this movie. I hope you guys liked this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what are your thoughts on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you've seen it, please tell me what you think about it. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.